matter, the special relationship and external bond. It's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before. And we really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional. And it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly yes. Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job, and my team as well. Two negotiating teams have worked at pace now for a number of weeks to bring in this deal today. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think even down to the hour, because you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe, and that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic. That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defence and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that, hugely important for sectors like car manufacturing and for steel and aluminium and so many others. And yes, we can finish ironing out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side, where I think I'm right in saying we're the only two Western countries with trillion-dollar sectors when it comes to tech. And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And now we add to that this deal on trade and the economy. And I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Donald, and for the way in which your team have negotiated this. And I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalised it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future. So thank you so much. Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press conference. I think you have your press in with you. But on the details, I think if you've got Howard, we can deal with that through one of my team.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the US and UK have been working for years to try and make a deal. And it never quite got there.
Yeah.
It did with this Prime Minister. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well, with this President, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
That's right.
And I'm really pleased. And it feels completely historic and on a special 80-year anniversary as well. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line. Tribute to both teams, tribute to our countries, and tribute to your leadership.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much. An incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with. It just seemed like a natural deal, but it was not done. But now it was done with us. So I feel very proud to have been a part of it. Keir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Donald, and we'll speak again soon.
Very good. So long. Bye. The UK deal was a big one. They've been trying to make that deal for 25 years.
The agreement between the U.S. and its ninth largest trading partner would expand the British market for U.S. beef and ethanol. It would leave in place the 10% tariff Trump imposed on British exports last month, but it would lower the new 25% tariffs on British cars to 10%.
This is just the start.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
But is it better than, say, 6 months ago, given, for instance, some tariffs are still there?
Well, Chris, the question you should be asking is it better than where we were yesterday?
This is just an initial deal with the details to be worked out in the weeks to come. And it's the president's trade war with China, not the UK, that has dramatically slashed cargo traffic to the U.S.
Now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Trump told CBS's Weijia Jiang that's a good thing.
That means we lose less money. You know, when I see that, that means we lose less money.
Jason Levitt says he's on the verge of losing a lot of money. His Virginia company builds lithium batteries for race cars, and the main component is only made in China.
Personally, it's been terrifying because if the boat doesn't get here quickly enough and we don't fall under a certain date, I may wind up paying 100% or 145% more than what I paid for the product to begin with. We can't possibly absorb 145% tax on our raw materials.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is finally set to sit down with Chinese officials in Switzerland this weekend as they try to find a way to ratchet down the unprecedented tariffs the two countries have imposed on each other.
Here's what you need to know about the UK-US trade deal. Tariffs on British steel and aluminium exports to the US have been slashed to zero, and taxes on some cars have been cut, potentially safeguarding thousands of UK jobs. The UK has removed tariffs on American beef and ethanol. However, we have yet to find out how the announcement will impact pharmaceuticals, one of the UK's biggest exports to the US. Also today, the first ever American Pope is beginning his first full day as head of the Catholic Church, and it's 1.4 billion members. Against expectations, the Cardinals elected Robert Prevost from Chicago, who will now be known as Pope Leo XIV. And finally, Britain is on the brink of giving up its treasured status as a country of dog lovers. And it's all because of cats. Pet retailers say they've seen a dramatic shift and reckon that within 2 years, the number of cats will overtake their canine rivals. At the moment, there are 13.5 million pet pooches, 1 million more than cats. It's thought celebrity cat lovers such as singers Taylor Swift, Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus are driving the trend.
Yes. So are you responsible for this then?
Well, no, I'm not, no. But Brexit certainly is.
Right. What is it, Brexit, by the way, first?
Brexit is certainly responsible because we wouldn't have been able to do this deal individually with the United States if we weren't outside the European Union. That's for ding dang sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Donald, can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well? As you say, Donald, the time... Thank you, Mr. President. Couldn't be more apt. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well? As you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt. And Donald, I think, as you know, Donald, as you say, Donald, thank you for your leadership on that, Donald.
We feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest and right at the top. And they're the first one we're talking about. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals.
And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship.
Business needs certainty. President Trump is no stranger to changing his mind on a whim. What assurances can you give business, give the workers here, that despite what you've agreed today, we're not all going to wake up to a post tomorrow that effectively rips all that up?
Well, we've been negotiating this text for a long time. I had discussions with Donald Trump along the way, including discussions last night. We're clearly in agreement. There is a written text. This is reduced to writing. That text will be available. So this is an agreement that is absolutely clear. We've worked well together. We respect each other, the President and I, and we trust each other and have trusted each other through this process. Each of us mandating our negotiating teams to get the best deal for our respective countries. Both teams have fought hard in tough negotiations, and we've arrived at an agreement that I went through with the President last night, and we've just agreed moments ago here at JLR. So clear agreement in terms, and these tariff reductions to come in very short order, making a material difference to the lives of very many people across the country.
This trade deal, of course, people are saying it's good news for the UK. Starmer looks very front-footed, being number one in the line to secure a trade deal. But the truth is, the White House was also under a lot of pressure here to try and stabilise the turmoil that Trump caused in the market with the April 2nd Liberation Day tariffs, wasn't he?
The queasy markets, yeah. So he's kind of like some sort of weird application of, I think in America it's called Pepto-Bismol, isn't it? Which you take if you've got indigestion. Pouring Pepto-Bismol on queasy markets. Yeah, I mean, just on this sort of question of whether the trade deal's worth anything with the UK and the US, I think we should give Starmer credit. You know, if he's sort of dueling in a tennis match kind of way against a completely unpredictable opponent, it's true that they may decide to start berating the umpire and walk off at any moment. But even so, you know, getting some things in the box is points, you know. And I think it's true about the jobs. You know, this is really important when we've got a manufacturing crisis. So I do think we should give them credit for such a deal as they have been able to strike. However, as pointed out in an excellent piece by our very own Alan Beattie, which our listeners can look at. You know, he points out, you know, this famous quip about paying Danegeld to the Vikings. Once you pay Danegeld, the Danes are going to come back for more. And this is how Trump does business. He comes back for more concessions. If he gets annoyed about something else, maybe he'll come back against the UK in some other area. And a lot of sectors are not included in this announcement this week. So we just don't know yet.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. It's really, in particular, the agreement with one of our closest and most cherished allies. And we're so happy that that's the way it worked out. Today's agreement with the UK is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast-tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe, and that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic.
Yes. So are you responsible for this then?
Well, no, I'm not, no. But Brexit certainly is.
Right. What is it, by the way, first?
What is it? Brexit is certainly responsible, because we wouldn't have been able to do this deal individually with the United States if we weren't outside the European Union. That's for ding dang sure.